Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to do the graphical user interface and the heads-up display, or GUI and HUD for short. Since the last time I've not done that much, to be honest. The only thing I changed is the actual lighting here at the gate. I've added light there, and I put it that way so you can actually see what the hell's going on here. And that's it, I have not done anything else. Well, besides I made a very simple heads-up display. So I got my energy bar for my light, because we're gonna do something cool with that one, and my health bar. And we're gonna add them in game and actually gonna make them work. Actually gonna add some functionality to them so they actually change. So how does one interface in Unity 5? Actually, it's really simple, especially when you compare it to the older versions of Unity. That was a major pain in the ass. It's actually utterly annoying. But nowadays it's actually really simple, which is good news for you, I suppose. So how do you do it? Well, actually it's very simple. So you go to game object UI, and I'm gonna add, well, you can add a panel, button, text, etc. But first thing I'm gonna add is a canvas, and then you get this giant rectangle. What you see here is our actual interface, or at least how we can actually fill it up. In here you can add stuff that will show up on screen. You can actually change the render mode. Right now it's set to overlay, so it overlays on the screen, or you can put on the camera and world space. This one though, the scale mode, is actually the most important one. For example, my current screen is at full HD, so 1920 by 1080. But for example, you as the person who's watching this video, you can actually have like something like 4K screen resolution. If I keep this one to constant pixel size, it will be based on my resolution. So when you go higher, the interface doesn't scale with it, which is stupid. So I'm going to change it to scale with screen size, so it actually scales up. And you can just leave this one as it is right now. So this is our canvas, and in here we can add stuff. For example, I can add an image. So I'm going to go to my UI again, and I'm going to add an image, and I'm going to set it to 000. Okay, so the first thing you notice, it asks for a sprite image. So when I go to my HUD empty one, I turned it to sprite 2D and UI, so it actually so you can use it as a sprite image or as an interface image. You can also set it to multiple sprites, so you can have a sprite animation in there, something like lighting or bubbles or whatever you want to do, to be honest. So, and if you don't set it to sprite 2D UI, you can't use it. So I'm going to go to my image again, and I'm going to drag my HUD empty right in there, and then you get an awesome interface. So when I go to my game, you get this, well, circle thingy in the middle of our screen. Not that interesting, of course. First, let's rename this. I'm going to call this BG HUD, which is background heads-up display, and I'm just going to copy it one more time, and I'm going to drag my health bar in there in the actual image size. So now we get a very simple HUD. You can of course also still rotate around in 3D space if you want to. I'm not going to do that, but you could. A little bit big though. I'm going to a little bit smaller. I'm going to set it to 0.8 across the board, or 0.8 by 0.8, and let's call this one my health bar. Okay, so you got a source image. You can also change the color, so I can change it to red. It will actually change the color based on that one. The material, we're not going to go into that one, but this one is actually really cool. The image type, right now it's simple, it's just an image, period. Nothing can happen to it, it's just there. You can also set it to sliced, but this one doesn't have borders, so not that useful. You can also set it to tiled. So for example, when you have your sprite animation, you need to set it to tiled, so you can add multiple tile animations in there. Or you can set it to filled. Now this one is actually really cool. For example, when I change the fill amount, you can actually see it gets cut off. You can set it to radial, radial 180 as well. This one 90 degrees as well if you want to, or horizontal, and vertical, which is the one we're going to use. Okay, awesome. I'm going to move these to 50, position 50. There you go. I'm gonna duplicate my background HUD. I'm gonna set it to -15. Right there. And again for the health bar as well. Change the image. Also -50. There we go. Let's keep this one background HUD 1. It's fine. We don't really care what it's called. But this one we should change it though to energy bar. There we go. And then just move them all down on screen, something like this. Then you get this in the actual game. So I'm gonna use my health bar for my health, and the energy bar for my light, because I can do some cool tricks with this one, for example. So, well, first let's do the actual health bar, the health. For example, when the player starts here, there's this bloody water-looking thingy. So I kind of want to have it when I drop in there, I start losing health, and this actually looks like water. So we need to do a couple of things. First off, the player doesn't have health at the moment at all. It's not declared in our player script, so I'm going to go there, player script, and I'm going to declare health. Now, a couple of things that you should note though. The energy bar, the health bar, they go from 0 to 1. So, for example, when your player has 100 health, and you deduct one every time it gets hits, it gets to 99, but this one doesn't actually change. But I'll show you a trick how to do that. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make it public so we can actually change it inside the inspector. Then I'm going to add a let's do integer health. It's set to 100. So my player now has 100 health. Let's see if I can actually find it. Player 100 health. You can actually change it in here then. Hence it's in there. So the player now has 100 health. Okay, so let's go to our water, because we need to add something that actually we need to create a trigger so we can actually see that we lose health. So I'm going to create a cube, and I'm going to make it really big so it actually fits across the entire water section. Something like this. I'm going to add it slightly below water, slightly below it. Maybe something like this. Perfect. And turn off mesh render and turn on its trigger. And let's call it underwater trigger. There you go. Let's add it to our trigger section. Perfect. So we need to create a new script. Let's call this underwater. There we go. And then I'm gonna add a function or a void on trigger enter. Okay, so now things get a little bit more interesting, because we need to set a timer that it deducts 1 health each time we actually hit that we are inside the water. So first thing I'm doing, I'm gonna add a void on trigger enter as well, because we wanted it to stop counting the second we exit the trigger. There you go. And I only want it to be when the player is in the water it starts counting, and not the, for example, the boulder as well. So I'm going to say here collider, and let's say just call it call something. So now I'm going to say if call.name is equal to our player, it should do something. Okay, well, what should do something? It should start it should start a counter. This one is a little bit more interesting. It's a little bit more interesting programming as well, because we're going to use a new function, and that function is called Invoke Repeating. And then we need to add a string method name, so we need to create a string function name. So I'm going to call this let's call it take damage. Then the time, so the delay time, so when you're in the water, like when I add 1 for example, it starts ticking after 1 second. And then the repeat rate, let's do 1 as well. So each second, after the first second, it will do something. So we call this take damage, so I should call this one void take damage as well. Okay, so how do we do health? Well, we need to give something to our player script so that it loses health. So in my function, in my script, player script, I'm going to create a void damage taken, for example, which is nothing more than deducts 1 health from our player. So health minus equals 1. So what this actually does is the same as typing this, health minus 1, but this is a little bit shorter, so 1. So each time this function is called, we need to call this function in here. So first, as usual, we need to find the script. So again, player script. Let's call this player. And it's game object dot find. Player script. And then I can say player dot take. I don't know what it's called. Damage taken. I should learn my script. So damage taken. See if it actually works. Don't get any weird errors. We do get weird errors because it's not set to public. There we go. You should fix it. Okay. So when I enter this, every single second after the first second, we're gonna call this part here. So let's print here our health and let's start playing it. Let's go in there, wait for it. Nothing happens. Because, well, it makes sense because our script is not actually in the game. So let's drag it up here. There we go. Program is fun. Okay. Still nothing. So let's see why it's not working. Let's, for example, we're gonna add a print here. We're gonna just damage taken. See if it actually gets there. So this is the fun part about programming. You just start debugging things. Actually not, it doesn't actually get here. Well, that's, let's see why if we actually get here. So let's call this one trigger. It doesn't actually get inside the trigger yet. That's really weird actually. Let's do it up here, so outside the if statement. The actual trigger script works. Oh, I know. Oh, I'm so stupid. I've added to the wrong object. It should be under the underwater trigger. I'm stupid. Sorry. And now it should work. There we go. So 98, 97. Perfect. So this works. So this part here actually works. Let's do this one as well. And let's get rid of this one. Okay, sweet. So now we need to change the image. So the health bar here, we need to actually change it. So it starts ticking down to further down. A couple of things we need to do first. First, we need to import. Well, we should start using the Unity engine .ui. If you don't actually add this line here, it won't work. That's a little bit of a shame. So make sure that you have this line here, Unity, or using Unity engine .ui, and then we can actually start finding it. So our type here is image. So I'm gonna say image, and then let's call this HP bar. And again, the usual game object.find. We call this health bar. Simple name, health bar. .get component. Image. Then HP bar. You can actually change the fill amount. But as we said before, this one uses 0 to 1, even though our player has 100 health. That's a bit of a issue, but you can do it like this. So it's health divided by the 100f, so it actually turn into a float. This should actually work. So let's find out. And we should see it start ticking. There we go. Slowly. And our player is dying. Slowly. But you can of course increase the actual speed. So this is the loop time. I'm gonna say to 0.1 f, so it's a float. And now we should die a lot faster, which sounds weird, but hey. Let's do it here, and there we go. It actually starts draining nice and fast, and then we're dead. But it keeps on ticking. It keeps on ticking. So make sure we need to think of something that actually prevents that. So up here in my health taken, I'm going to insert a tab, and I'm going to say here, if our health is greater than 0, then deduct health. Otherwise it just keeps on going and going and going, and we don't want that. So while we're in a trigger, it keeps on looping, but when we jump out of it, we actually want to just stop looping. So in my on trigger exit, I'm gonna say here cancel invoke, and that's it. So then it actually stops the loop. So let's try it out. Let's get out of it. Okay, and stops. Let's go back in. And there we go again. Simple health. Not really that hard. Okay, so let's make it that we actually are that we actually get the feeling that we are underwater, because right now this just looks really weird. So I'm gonna show you a very cool trick. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this water, and I'm gonna rotate it 180 degrees, set it slightly below it. What this does, well, I'll show you what happens. So now when I look up, we actually get this water refraction, which is exactly what I kind of want to have. It's a little bit higher maybe. You can of course also cheat if you want to. Always exceed the wrong one. You can also cheat by placing it even higher, something like this. That works as well. Something like that. Let's delete the audio source, we don't want it to have it there. And let's turn it off. Otherwise you can see the difference here. So, and let's turn it off. So when I enter trigger, I want it to be enabled. This one here. So we can also use it here with the mesh renderer. It pretty much does the same. You can see here. This looks fine now. When I enable it, it actually looks much different. Okay. Let's do the mesh render part. So when I enter the trigger, I want to find the game object called water. Let's call this underwater water. Best name ever. Okay. And then I want to find the mesh renderer. Well, you can also do it different by just calling it a game object, but let's just do it like that. So mesh renderer underwater dot find underwater water. Best name. Get component mesh renderer, and underwater dot enabled is true. But when I exit it, I want it to be turned off. So I'm going to copy it here, and I'm going to set this one to false. Okay, let's test it. You can see there actually a small delay in there. It's a bit of a shame though, but oh well. A bit weird though, but let's try a different method. Let's use the actual game object. So let's call the game object underwater. Let's see if this one is a bit faster. Object.find underwater water, and just like that, and then underwater dot active. I think it's set active is true. Let's turn this one off. I don't think I'm allowed to do that though. No, I'm not. Dot. It's not enabled. Don't have that much options actually. Huh. That's a bit annoying. Well, let's just use this one then. I'll see if I can find out what it is. So okay, let's just do it like that. Okay, so when I enter it, it just changes it. It's not perfect, but then again, who cares? Oh, that doesn't work either. That's weird. Oh, should set to active. This one turned off. There you go. But I also want there to be fog. A lot of fog, because right now it's just like still very weird. So I'm gonna add it as well. So I'm gonna go to my render settings. Dot fog. You can actually set the color and density. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the color. Then you can use a color 32. I'm gonna use, let's make it red. 255.00.255 for the alpha. Then I'm gonna set the density. Fog density to something like 0.5. Oh, wrong button. Oh, it doesn't like that apparently. Let's try a new color. Okay. Too much? Yeah. That's a bit too much. Let's do it 0.1. 0.1. See what happens then. The color is something we can fix later on. I'm not too worried about that one. Oh. Let's first check the actual. Better. Do I like it? No. To 2, and let's lower this one down to something like 128. Did I save it? Right. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Then when we get out, I want the fog to turn off again, of course. So let's go to our lighting window, and this is our current fog. This color here, which is 211426. So 211426. 26. Okay. Let's do the same thing here. Let's just copy these. I think it's 0.15 at the top of my head. It actually is. Okay. We get in, we get out. The hills start ticking, and we get out. Awesome. Okay. Let's do, well, let's wait for sound a little bit. So let's now do the actual energy from the flashlight. That's kind of cool. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off. I've called the flashlight already, and I'm going to set it to the intensity to 0. So when the player starts, the light is turned off by default. And in my player script, I'm going to add the void called update to this one every frame, because I want to check something every frame. What do I want to check? Well, I want to check if the player hit a key. In this case, I want to check if the player hit the E key on his, her keyboard. So I'm gonna ask the question input.getKey, actually got a bunch of options here. So key down and key up and just key. Key will run while the button is pressed. Key down when the button is pushed down, and key up is when the button is released. I kind of want to use that one, and then we can actually just add quotation marks here. I want to see if he presses the key E. Let's check it, and then we're going to say here print E. Then we get E. Perfect. Okay. So first let's create one here. Let's do a private boolean. A private bool flashlight. So this one is something we cannot change in the inspector. Let's do this one, flashlight on. Currently it's set to it's off, so it's false, so it's not on. And then we can set here, for example, if flashlight on is false, we want to turn it on. And then here we want to ask the question, if it's on, we want to turn it off. Okay, this one is now when it's off, and then I want to do is I want to turn it on. So I'm going to find my object called flashlight, which is the type light, which you can find here. So I'm going to say light, let's do this flashlight. Is game object dot find flashlight dot get component light this time. Then I can type here flashlight dot intensity. So I want to turn it on, so I'm going to set it to 1. Then I'm going to set my boolean to false, to true. So I can now see that it's on, and then I'm going to copy paste this part here, and I'm going to set this one to false, and or 0 and to false. So it's now turned off. Let's find out. So I'm going to hit my button. It's turned on. Turn off, turn on, turn off. Okay. So now when I want what I want now is when the flashlight is on, I want it to start draining energy from my energy bar. Same here. So we're gonna do the same thing, well, roughly the same thing as we did on the water. First though, I'm gonna create let's do a public. Let's do an integer energy. Let's also give it 100 energy. And then in here I'm gonna start a timer again. So it's this one with the invoke repeating. I'm gonna do the same thing here. So I'm gonna say here invoke repeating, and let's call this drain energy. Then I want it to start after, well, how much time do I want to wait? Let's do 0.5, and then let's do every 0.5 as well. Float and a float. Nope, wrong button. Okay, let's do the drain energy. I'm gonna create here a void called drain energy, and then I want it to be lower. So I'm gonna say here energy minus is 1. Then I'm gonna find my object here. I'm just gonna be lazy as hell, so I'm gonna find, actually I'm not gonna be lazy as hell. Oh, this one, there it is. I'm gonna do the same thing here. So energy bar, this game object dot find energy bar, get the component image, energy bar dot fill amount is energy divided by 100 float. There you go. So while it's on, it should start ticking. There it is, slowly. But when it's turned off, it actually doesn't get cancelled, so we need to add the cancel invoke here. When it's this one here, I want to cancel the invoke. Cancel the invoke. There you go. Actually, I'm going to change it to 1000 energy, and I'm going to make this even faster, so it just so the actual animation is a bit more fluid. Let's see if this actually works. Turn it on, see? Let's give the player 5,000 energy. It's a bit of a weird number, but hey, whatever works, right? So the player actually has some time to actually have one active. And we need to do the same thing here. If our energy is greater than 0, it can be drained. Otherwise, it can't. It just won't. Cool. Pretty easy so far. Nothing really that hard. This works. This works as well. It's not perfect though, as you can see, but I'm just gonna lower that trigger though by a lot, actually, so it doesn't look that weird. So I'm gonna lower it down, something like there. So the player is actually almost up underwater when this happens. There you go. This is much better actually. Much more fluid as well. Might want to change the color though. I don't like the color. This one here, let's do I don't know, 64. Actually, we could change it. We can pick a dirty color right here. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go to my fog. If I can find my fog, there it is. Let's set this one to 0.2 so I can see what the hell I'm doing. Then I'm gonna change the color. Let's do something nice and dirty. 62, 41, 41. Let's do that. Oh, close one. 62, 41, 41. Okay. Maybe this looks a little bit better. And it does. Let's increase the density by a shit ton. I don't like this, that's 2.5. Yep. That's cool. That's cool. Works. Okay. Easy peasy. So, what happens when our health gets down to 0? Right now, absolutely nothing. Nothing happens at all. That's a bit lame. So what we can do in our health, in our damage taken, because this one is called when we take damage, we can actually do something that will end the game, which is exactly what we're going to do right now. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to start here using. Then I'm going to say unity.engine dots. You can actually find them all here, the ones you want to use. But I'm going to use a different one. I think it's the Unity standard assets. Standard assets dot characters dot first person. So I can actually access our first person character here. Okay, so if our health here, then we can say if our health is smaller than 1, therefore he's dead. I'm gonna find my first person character controller, so first person FPS is game object. Well, it's actually, you don't have to, so I'm gonna say git component for first person controller. There we go. And you can actually turn it off, so enabled is false. So when our health is 0, we can't move anymore, we can't do anything. See, that actually works. Let's die. Let us die. I can still move, see, everything's fine. And when the health gets to 0, I can't do anything anymore. See, I can actually move. So now we can actually display a message on screen like, dude, you're dead. How would we do that? Well, we can add text. For example, we can add to our canvas here. We can actually add text. For example, I can go to my UI and I'm gonna add text. Why not? I'm gonna say you dead. Okay. And let's make it a lot bigger. If you want to, you can also, of course, increase or change different font. You can just import the font if you want to. Let's do this one like 400 by, let's do 100 first so we can see how far we can go. You dead. That big. Ah. Let's turn it white. Of course you can make a nice picture, and you can turn this one off if you want to. So let's say let's call this death message, like that. You dead. Okay, so when my health is 0, I want to turn on the text right there. So I've got the UI already imported. So in here I'm gonna say text. Let's call this death. It's game objects dot find dev message, and then get component text. Then I can say dev.enabled is true. So now when my health is down to 0, we should be able to display a message. Let's wait for it. Boring. You dead. Okay. Now I can't do anything no more. You can add a button here that will just load the level again. But this is pretty basic stuff. Okay. You can also, for example, add a pickup here somewhere for the actual energy. You can add, for example, add a pickup. Let's add one here on top of it. So we can also use this area over here. Right here. Oh, that's the wrong one actually. Oh, this one. There we go. This one over here. We can add a pickup here. For example, let's add a simple sphere. Sphere. Right there. In the light. So it looks pretty. There you go. Nice pretty sphere. Let's give it a different material. Let's create a new material. Energy pickup. And let's make it really shiny. And there you go. So let's grab the sphere, let's add our thingamajig there. Let's make it italicness all the way up. So it should actually reflect the entire scenery. And if you know it doesn't right now. It does. Okay. Slightly. Let's increase the emission so actually give some light. That'd be cool. It doesn't actually do it right now because it's not a static object. Because it's something we'll actually destroy as well. So we're gonna find it and then we're gonna destroy it. So this is our energy pickup. I'm gonna put it in my geometry list. It's getting pretty big right now. Let's do it there. Geometry. And let's add a trigger around this one. So I'm gonna create a cube. Make it a lot bigger. Make it even bigger. There you go. Turn this one on, off. There. Oh, there you go. Pick up. Well, let's call this energy pickup. Energy pickup. Trigger. Energy pickup trigger. Let's put it up there. Let's create a new script and let's do the pickup so we can actually reuse it again, for example. Let's do pickup. First thing I'm gonna add it to my trigger so I don't forget it this time. Be helpful. Energy pickup trigger, there you go. Okay, so I'm gonna delete these two voids, we don't need them. Oh. Then again on void on trigger, enter. Again, I want to check if it's the player that's colliding with it and not the folder, for example, by accident. Could happen. So I'm gonna say if call.name equals player, we need to do something. So first thing I want to do is I want to add energy. So I'm going to add one here. I'm going to say for public void add energy. There you go. So now we can actually use this one. And in here I want to do something cool again. So I'm going to invoke a trigger or invoke repeating. Let's do add energy, same thing. And then 0, and then every 0.1 second. Let's go to avoid energy, add energy. Then I'm gonna find my player. I think I can just copy it from here. I can. And then, for example, we can do add energy. Oh, add energy. There you go. Okay. So we can now start this function every time, and then again, when I exit the trigger, void on trigger exit. You can of course do it a little bit differently if you want to, but in this case I'm just gonna see if I can get it to work like this. Okay, and let's make the trigger a little bit bigger. This one, so it takes a little bit of time to actually get out of there. Okay. Add energy, and let's do 50. So we're gonna add 50 energy here. How would you do that? Well, you would just add a for loop in here. So in here I'm gonna add 50, but not all the time. Well, actually I'm gonna do it differently. So I'm gonna say here energy plus is 1. So energy is energy plus 1. And then I'm gonna do the same thing here. Energy bar gets filled. See, oh, okay, there's the error. Play script 76, which is, oh, I should add void. Not bad. There you go. So let's see what happens. Let's turn it on. Nothing happens. I'm gonna move my player though. I don't have that much patience. So let's grab it, move it. Sometimes the viewport of Unity is actually pretty annoying, as you can see. Okay, I think I should spawn right inside that tunnel. I do. Okay. There we go. Let's check it. So pickup, it's on my energy pickup trigger. It is. There we go. So on trigger enter player, I'm gonna print here, see it actually works. So I'm print. Best program ever, I know. Let's see it actually collides with it. Yeah, okay. And it actually works really well. Awesome. But in this case, we can go up to 5,000, so we need to make sure that we don't go over 5,000. Yes, that joke is in there. I know. I'm not gonna make it though. It's too tempting. So if energy is lower than 5,000, gonna add one, and that's it. That's pretty much it. We can also, for example, on the water one, we can also invoke one here that actually does the grunting, for example. We can actually start grunting the sound. Let's add one here for the player. Oh, there we go. Was afraid it would crash. So I'm gonna add a game object there. I'm gonna call this player sounds, for example, or player grunt. I'm gonna drag it on my player. I'm gonna add the sound there. This one. Just drag it up there. Done. Okay. Let's see if this works. Otherwise, I'm gonna look very, very, very stupid. So in here, I'm gonna say player grunt, and then player grunt. I don't know if you can actually do multiple ones, but let's find out. And then I'm gonna say audio source player grunt. No, let's do grunt. Player grunt, get a component audio source grunt dot play. So far no errors, so that looks good. Oh, that was fast. I've still set to play on away, but best sounds ever. Let's do 2 every 2 seconds, because the sound I think lasts around 2 seconds. Let's find out. The grunt lasts. Let's do 1.5. Okay. And let's turn off play on awake. There we go. Click. There you go. And let's see if it actually works. That's annoying. Okay. It's dead. Player's dead. We can also say here if it's dead, then we actually play a different sound. For example, then we can actually play the deaf sound, this one. But then we need to do something else here, because then we actually need to get rid of the trigger entirely, which is a bit more difficult. For example, here we need to turn off the actual trigger. So let's go to our underwater trigger, this one here. So when we're dead, this one, when we're dead, we want to find a game object. Let's call this fixing the collider, box collider, underwater trigger, game object dot find underwater trigger dot get component box collider. Then we can add underwater trigger dot is trigger is false, so it stops actually triggering it, so the sound stops playing, otherwise it's going to be very annoying. Oh, I can't for some reason actually play anymore. That's interesting. There you go. Let's see if my hypothesis is actually correct. And grunt time. Yep. And then we can play the def sound. So again, I'm gonna add a empty object, player def. no death. Should say def player def, add def sound there. Turn off play on awake. Let's add it under our player. And then in here I'm gonna say audio source player dead is player def. Play. So when he's dead, these sounds are playing. Let's try it. You dead. Perfect. We can go even further. We can add like a blur script to the actual camera. I might just do that one. Last one. Blur optimized to the actual camera. So now when you see for the game, you can actually see the blur size. We can actually turn this one off. The script. That's called blur optimized. So we might just do that so it actually looks really blurred when the player is dead. So let's do this one even further up. There you go. Let's turn it off. And then we're gonna find, well, it's on the camera, so we need to do something a little bit different. Actually no, we don't have to do something different. So this is called blur optimized. Blur optimized. Blur is find first person character, then get the components blur optimized. I think that should work actually. See if I don't get any weird errors. I do. Did I actually spell it correct? Optimized. Let's try it like that. It's too dirty. Oh. Oh. There goes my brilliant idea. It's actually a really shame. First person character, can I type correctly? Oh, that's actually too bad that I can't actually get this to work. Blur optimized. It's actually open so I can copy paste it. There you go. Don't see the difference though, but well, that's too bad. I thought I could get it to work, but I'm afraid I can't. Sorry. Strange though. Should work, but no. If that's it. That's pretty much it for today. Next time we're gonna add some buttons, and then we're gonna go into the polish phase, where we'll actually we'll finish the game itself, and after that we'll start actually optimizing it. I might do something else in between, because I got a cool idea, but I need to see if I can actually get that to work first. So I hope you found this useful, and then I hope to see you guys next time again. So let's go for death one more time. Thanks for watching.